Um, Thank you for sending in your questionnaire. I've had a look at it.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Very exciting. But I found it really interesting doing that form. It sent me into a bit of a spiral of kind of, but then I came back out of it thinking I'm just the product of my ancestry, and it's that was quite interesting, seeing it that way. The stuff I would really like to look at is the stuff with my son, and feeling very angry with him sometimes. He's a normal 3-year-old that does things that are sometimes irritating, and that, that's normal, but my response feels very disproportionate sometimes and a bit out of control. And I found it interesting doing that questionnaire because it made me suddenly think I'm just doing what was done to me and probably countless generations back.
So take a couple of deeper breaths. And I want you to step into a space of your choosing. It could be inside or outside. And let me know when you're there.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and if you'd like to let me know where you found yourself.
On a beach.
Okay. And where are you standing on that beach?
On sand, looking out to the sea with a tree behind me.
Okay. And what I invite you to do now, if it feels okay to do this, is to bring in the anger that you're feeling towards your son and place that somewhere on that beach too.
Okay.
And where is the anger?
It's sort of by my feet off to the left.
And what colour is the anger?
It's kind of it's army khaki coloured.
Khaki.
It's kind of the size and shape of a sort of round holdall sort of bag thing.
And how are you feeling with the khaki anger by the side of your feet to the left?
I'm feeling really emotional. I feel a bit sad about it.
And if you had to rate the sadness on a scale of 0 to 10 right now, 10 being the worst, 0 being not sad at all, what number would you?
It feels like way above a 10 even. It feels really hugely sad.
Okay. So even though I feel emotional
and
sad, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Sad. Emotional. Where do you feel that in your body?
In my stomach, mostly.
In my stomach. Okay, so on a scale of 0 to 10 or above, where would you put the sadness now?
I would say I'd say it's like a 10. Mm-hmm. Before it felt like it was kind of almost too big to count.
Yeah. So even though I have some of this sadness left.
In
my stomach and back of my throat.
Remaining sadness.
At the back of my throat.
And
in my stomach. So on a scale of 0 to 10 now, where would you put the sadness?
That doesn't feel like it's changed. Okay. I'd say that's still a 10.
Okay. And is it the same 10 or a different 10?
No, I would say it's a different sort of 10. It feels a bit less helpless.
So do you know what this sadness is about?
Do you know, it feels like it's all that army in my background. I was really, when you said go to that place and what colour is the anger, it was just a very vivid, like, army colour. And I wasn't expecting that. And now I just feel like actually all that army stuff is very, very sad. I just feel very, very sad for all the men in my family, current and past, that have had to do that, had to be off in the army. And I know that's been their choice, but and it feels the connection to the anger is, well, I don't know, but I doubt very much that any of them have connected to any sadness. They've been off winning medals. I know they must have had to squash a lot. And my father as a parent, and his father as a parent, and his father as a parent, to connect with a small innocent child with that baggage. You know, no wonder my dad was very angry. Just it feels a lot bigger than me.
So does it feel like you're carrying or holding the sadness on behalf of all the men who weren't able to express or feel that sadness in your family?
It sort of does. I feel a bit arrogant and centre of the universe, sort of taking all that on, but that is kind of how it feels.
How would it be to bring in onto the beach a being or something that symbolizes, or it might actually be literally all the men in your family, current and past, who have served in the army, and place them wherever they need to be on that beach?
That feels really, yeah.
So just tap on your fingers as you're experiencing that. How are you doing?
Some of them it feels like, well, I'm imagining some of them are taking their uniform off and lying in the sun, and that feels nice. And then in the middle is my brother, who's still in the army and frequently in Afghanistan. And it is, well, the words that come to mind are it's not safe for him to do anything different. It feels like he couldn't possibly feel sad or angry or anything because he's still got to keep going back to Afghanistan.
What's the strongest feeling for you now as you're witnessing all the men in your family who have been past and present in the army around you?
I just feel incredibly sad. Sort of wasted lives. Actually, I'm feeling some of the anger now. It's just, yeah. You know, it's the right thing to do. It's a noble thing to do.
So on a scale of 0 to 10, the sadness now, what number would you give it?
I would give it a 10, but it feels loose, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And the anger right now?
That feels like it's on the way up.
Okay.
In a healthy way. and it feels like the anger is becoming more personal. My sort of defiance.
Even though I'm sad.
I'm sad.
And angry.
And angry.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Love and accept myself.
Defiance. Anger. Say transform and take a deep breath.
I don't feel sad at all anymore.
Okay.
That's quite extraordinary.
So you're standing there facing the sea. The anger's to your left and by your side, and the men in your family who have served in the army are where you didn't say where they are, but they're around. So just tell me about that picture and how you're feeling about that now.
So, apart from my brother, who almost seems to be in a cage, everyone else seems to be really relaxed.
And how is it for you to witness your brother in a cage?
That's incredibly sad.
So even though I'm sad, my brother's in a cage, and I feel it in my solar plexus.
It just feels like it's none of my business. I feel like he's saying, just deal with your own stuff. If I imagine him, he's not on the beach, he's sort of up on the cliff, he's doing his own thing. It feels good. That feels... it's got that feeling of, okay, I've done what I can do, and you're on your journey. So that feels okay.
So how would it be now to tap on your fingers and say, dear brother, I've been carrying this sadness for you, and it's yours, it's not mine. Does that feel true?
Yes.
And with love and respect,
I
hand this back to you.
And
say transform and take a deep breath.
Transform. Oh, that feels a big sense of relief.
Okay. Should we do that process with the rest of the men in your family?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So, again, tapping on the fingers. To all the men in my family. Those who are alive. Those who died early. And those who lived a long life. To all those who served their country. I've been carrying your sadness. And with love and respect. I hand this back to you.
That feels really nice. That feels like, I don't know, like I had a memory of my grandfather not being army, just being loving, and that feels very good. It's amazing, this stuff.
Just go back to that beach. You're standing facing the sea. And the anger's by your side to the left. And tell me what else is happening now.
It feels like it's my mother's popped up, yabbering away, and my other brothers, they're being deeply annoyed. I've very definitely got my mother to my left, just slightly behind me on my left.
Okay. And is she facing you or facing another direction?
Well, I'm facing the beach. She's kind of casting a shadow. I'm feeling dreadful. but she's casting a kind of angry shadow on me. And actually, my army brother is sort of just off messing about. It feels very comfortable being near him.
So is he? Which side? Where is he in relationship?
He's off to the right. Just I can't really quite see him, but I can feel him just being near, and that's all nice. And then I've got my father in my front left, and my other brother's directly in front of me. But it all feels very uncomfortable with the three of them.
And which direction is your father facing?
He's facing me, but not really looking at me.
And your other brother that's facing you, that's in front of you?
Is he looking at me? He's just kind of making a big distraction. And what I want to do is say, look, can you all just go somewhere else? I'm really enjoying being on this beach. But I can't say that. The overwhelming thing is my mother's shadow on me, which feels very oppressive.
And why can't you tell them to go somewhere else?
Because that's not what I do.
The strongest thing is the overwhelming mother shadow and the feeling of oppressive.
Yeah.
Even though my mother is casting an oppressive shadow.
My mother is casting an oppressive shadow.
And it's overwhelming.
And it's overwhelming.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
So I feel almost breathless and heart racing. Partly in a good way, but partly in a frightened way. The thought that's coming to mind is, what happens if I let go of all this stuff?
Even though I feel breathless.
And
my heart is racing. It's good and frightening.
The thought that's coming to mind is, what happens if I let go of all this stuff? I've got to grow up and be me then. I don't want to be on that beach anymore. I want to go somewhere else where they aren't all there. I kind of got this feeling like they're not going to move. So I'm just going to go somewhere else.
So how would it be to turn and face them and say, dear family, I need to step into the sunshine now. And I will take all the goodness you gave me. With me. This is where I came from. And I honour that. And I need to turn now. To face my future. How did that feel doing that process? That I feel really sad again. So all this sadness.
How
is the sadness towards your father?
I don't think it's sadness. That just feels like complete disconnection. When I think about my father, that just feels like almost like a force field all around me, like a numb. So I don't actually feel anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I would say it's a 10.
Yeah. Even though I have this numb force field. When I think about my father. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Disconnection with my father.
with my father.
Numb force field.
Numb force field.
Around my body.
Around my body. It's kind of there. That doesn't feel any different.
So it's the numbness and the force field is still a 10?
Yeah.
And if there was a reason why you couldn't let it go, what would that be? I suppose I'm afraid of letting it go. Really. I feel like I don't even know who my dad is. He's a complete stranger. And is the numbness still the same as you say that?
I would say the numbness is completely gone, and now starting to feel lots of feelings.
Okay.
Kind of overwhelming feeling is I've done everything I possibly could for you to approve of me, and well, I definitely don't feel numb.
Okay. So you said, I've done everything I possibly could to get his approval. How strong does that feel right now?
Do you know, this is feeling very different to the other bit of the set. I feel like I'm kind of got this whole tide of process happening. Because I know I said that only a couple of minutes ago. I now feel like he's always approved of me. I feel really connected to the fact that he's always loved me and approved of me. I feel really relieved. Gosh, that's extraordinary. I feel like I've wasted a lot of time trying to get something that I had anyway.
And just focusing in on how you feel or where you are in relationship to your father right now, and how does that feel?
It feels really comfortable. If kind of just sitting down on the beach chatting, and he's an archaeologist, and he's showing me a fossil and talking to me about it. It just feels very pleasant and easy.
And your deaf brother, how do you feel in connection with him now? And where is he on the beach?
I'd say he hasn't moved really. He's just where he was. It feels a bit annoying. That it feels like an ancient childhood annoying older brother.
And the annoyance on a scale of 0 to 10?
I'd say it's a sort of 3 or a 4. It's quite mild.
Okay. So can you say this annoyance and say transform and take a deep breath?
This annoyance, transform. Now I feel sad.
Yeah. And say transform and take a deep breath.
This sadness, transform.
Coming back to your mother now, what's the feeling there as you look to her?
She's like a little girl. I've got this picture of her, a little girl looking after her dolls and lining them all up. You know, when I was a baby, I was this little doll that had its routine and its pretty clothes, and but I was alive. That feels very sad.
So she treated you like her doll, one of her dolls.
But I feel really sad for her as much as I do for me. Very sad.
Sad for me.
Sad for me.
Sad for my mum.
Sad for my mum.
It feels like she was 7 years old.
It feels like she was 7 years old.
And I was one of her dolls.
And I was one of her dolls.
Except I was alive.
Except I was alive. That feels really good. This is very effective.
Good.
I have an overwhelming sense now of wanting to bring my children in, and not that they're here physically, but I just have a really big feeling of wanting to just bring them in and cuddle them.
And put your father and mother behind you, with their hands on your shoulders, and they're side by side, and their hands are on your shoulders. And if it feels right, you can put your brothers next to you. And then, if it feels right, you can bring your children in to face you. And say to your children, this is my family.
This is my family.
So you might want to tap on your fingers as you're doing this.
This is my family.
This is where I've come from.
This is where I've come from.
And I have all their support.
And I have all their support.
So that I can be the best mother I can.
So that I can be the best mother I can. I suppose I want to say to my children, I've not done it how I wanted to do it.
So,
that's okay.
So just tap on your fingers and just say to them whatever you need to say to them right now.
Out loud or in my...
What feels more comfortable?
I think out loud probably.
Okay.
I've not done it how I wanted to. Because I haven't been able to. But I can now. And that's all okay. Oh, I love you enormously. I'm sorry for you that it wasn't the way I wanted it. That feels amazing. I feel really good. I feel really grown up and responsible. It's really weird.
So how would it be to thank all the members of your family who have been with you on this beach, and just know that you can come back to this space whenever you would like to, and then bring yourself back to being here, sitting on this chair. And if there was a feeling that you could feel more of right now when you think about your children, particularly your son, that you could feel more of towards him or both of them, whatever feels right, what would that feeling be?
I think it would be just a basic love.
Mm-hmm. Put your hands on your heart and say, I want to feel basic love towards my son.
I want to feel basic love towards my son.
Not intermittently.
Not intermittently.
But all the time.
But all the time.
And take a deep breath. And how would it be if you did feel basic love towards your son? How would it be for you?
I think I'd really enjoy it. And I think it would be a big relief. And all the things I worry about with him, I don't think I'd have to worry about.
And what colour would that love be if you could feel it all the time, that basic love?
It sounds very cheesy, but it would be the colour of sunshine. It would be...
And I allow that image
And I allow that image
of his face lit up in the bright sunshine
of his face lit up in the bright sunshine
to infuse every cell,
to infuse every cell,
every atom,
every
molecule
molecule
of my whole entire being.
of my whole entire being.
Take a deep breath. So how are you doing?
Really good. I feel like I need to go to sleep for the rest of the week.
So when you think about your initial intention to reduce the level of anger you feel with your son, what comes up for you now when you think about that?
I don't think it's got anything to do with him. For a long time, I've been a bit frightened of it because it kind of pops up, sometimes quite unexpectedly, and I don't feel frightened of it. I feel like I'd genuinely be surprised if I lost my temper with him in the way that I have been. Thank you very much.
Okay, take care.
You too. Okay, bye.